Now, I'm going to preface this video with a few disclaimers. Firstly, radiation is not something I've studied or I'm any kind of an expert in. Do your own homework. Secondly, anytime I do anything about radiation, the experts come out in the comments, especially since the release of the Fallout TV series. So keep that in mind. Now, in this video, I also use the word moderator in place of where I probably should use shielding. And in previous videos, I've had a bit of a shortfall in knowledge about alpha radiation. I don't talk about that in this one. We're dealing purely with X-rays. But keep in mind, I generally do electronics and fix Land Rovers and stuff like that. The radiation stuff is mostly a path to a research project that I embarked on some years ago. But that might come to fruition if the guys at Radiocode actually come through. Alright, we're in the shed here and we're looking at an old X-ray machine that's been shoved in the corner here. That's relevant because we've got some experiments to do. Apparently I may be getting a Radiocode 103 in the mail, and apparently it might be free. I don't know yet. But I'm planning a longer video where I go over some things. Now, I've been looking for materials that will be scintillators, that will glow in the presence of radiation. Part of that is to demonstrate how a scintillation counter works. Now, I've been looking at buying like scintillation crystals and everything, but I realized I had this bag of zinc sulfide. Apparently, zinc sulfide is the glowy part in radium paint. So it's also what goes in a lot of glow products that you can buy off the shelf. Uranium glass, which this is actually proper uranium Vaseline glass, also apparently does that, along with some acrylics, which I have a lot of different acrylic in here. So I've got a couple of Geiger counters, and I've got an X-ray machine. I'm going to set things up and run the lead out the door and see if I can make some stuff glow. Now, first things first, before I can irradiate stuff, I need the light in the aperture box here, which has seen better days, to actually work. And I've gone to check this, and the lead's not right, so I'm going to have to fix that. I did create a longer trigger wire because the one I got with it was only 1 meter long, so I've already made a new one of them. So let's go fix the aperture box. I don't really want to put this on here without the deflector in place. So I'll fix that and be right back. Geez, every time I open up a bit of this, it's bloody amateur hour. What the hell was going on here? Okay, this looks just a little bit better than what we had before. Let's put the shell back on. Okay, let's go back in here. This guy drops in on the front here. Have to give it a bit of a wriggle. Okay, we got it. This wire here is just for the light that's in here, and that allows you to adjust the exposure area. I could spin this round and point it that way, might be easier, but down on the floor is a better spot for this. Anyway, let's get everything else plugged in. Okay, from here, fire this guy up. We use that as a decimeter, and I've got another counter we'll put over beside it. That's in here. I do have a high range counter. That's a field survey meter that was made in Canada that I fixed a while ago, but this one will do tonight just as an indication of exposure. And yeah, this is already actually partly radioactive uranium glass. Now we're going to turn on our X-ray machine. That should turn on the power supply here, which this grey wire we just fixed should turn on the light in our aperture here, which lets us just show where we're going to be irradiating. And now I can put my material down there. To look at our settings, need to up our time a bit. We're going to want a little bit of time in here. So these are in seconds and it's upside down. So let's try a 3-second exposure here. And our milliamp setting was set at 15. Let's dial 20, we want a little bit. And we've got to get our line voltage set up as well here. Well, I think that's our line voltage there. Set right, milliamps right. We had a minor adjust in here somewhere. Where are we? I'll get this set up in a minute. Alright, we've got our milliamp setting right in the middle. Our line voltage I think is right. We're going to leave it at 15 milliamp on the low side. We're going to go with a 3-second setting. Now we want to adjust this to encompass what we have down here. We'll open you up a little bit. I'll push them in a bit. This is off to the side. I just want that as just a safety checksum. We don't want it right under the beam. You can overload them. So at this point we're pretty right. Now we're going to turn the lights off and make sure that this isn't still glowing, which it probably will be because it's been exposed to the light. So we'll turn our light off for a bit, turn our main lights off and let it stop glowing for a bit. Alright, so we can see here for a bit that the light shining on it has caused it to glow, which is kind of going to screw things up a little bit. I might give the bag a shake around. Okay, a bit of ambient lighting here. Going to give the bag a shake up just to try and see if what we can get in there is an impression of radiation. So there is a little bit glowing around the edge. That's fine. So what I'm going to do now is start the recording, turn the main lights off and see what happens. I'll turn the main light off for a second. It has lit up a bit, but I can't really tell. Alright, I'll try again. Okay, one thing my radio code did confirm to me is that previously when I've done this, I've stuck a jerry can full of water here as a moderator. That helped immensely. So yeah, even standing way back here out at the door, I was still reading, what were we, 2.19 on this, and what scale is that in? That is in microsieverts per an hour. So 2.1 microsieverts an hour, probably not deadly, but also not great to be doing this repeatedly. So I'm going to try maybe for a long exposure photo. I'll see what we get. Right, now I have a long exposure shot to show you, but let's wander around in the dark here. This time I did about 3 exposures in a row. You might be able to see it here. Let's switch to, there we go. It actually did light up quite across the board. Now I think the uranium glass might be a fairly quick scintillator, whereas this stuff tends to retain its glow for a while. So yes, it did actually expose under radiation, which is interesting. Now, normal zinc sulfide like this isn't the most reliable. You've got to treat it with something like silver or dope it with something else to make it more sensitive to radiation. But I think I've had enough exposure to X-rays tonight. Don't think I want to do any more. Because I need probably a better moderator, or I need to angle this in a better position. So we'll experiment more later. And I'll have a look at the video I've got and see what we get out of this. Okay, we're back inside. We're plugged in into USB and we've got everything up on here. You can see a pretty massive spike on the X-rays, way above normal background, to be expected. And I want to have a quick look at my dose rates in here. Okay, so here we go. We've seen some dose rate alarms going off here at high rates, but fairly short exposures, which is, I guess, preferable. But yeah, don't like to do this too much. I think I need to make a longer trigger button and also put some more moderators in there. And because radiation theory is not my strong point, I got some help from ChatGPT. I'm not sure if this is going to be strictly correct, but tallied up all my doses off this, seems to think it's not too bad. So yeah, I still wouldn't be doing this repeatedly. Now, while I'm here, I might as well update both the software and the radio code. And they do continue to issue updates for the 101, which I'm very pleased about. But we'll see what the 103 can do. Apparently it's got a better resolution and a better scintillation cube. Now, just a tip, if you are charging these off a data port on your computer, make sure to unplug it before you reboot your computer. I found I could almost say I bricked it at one point, and it wouldn't boot up or anything like that. I had to open it up, pull the battery off, wait a few seconds, plug it back in again, and then it would boot up again. But it's a bug I found with the 101. I think they might have solved it with a 103. I might get adventurous and test that when I get it. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue on. Okay, so all up, some slightly inconclusive results. I think the zinc sulfide did respond to the radiation, but it is very difficult in the time frame I had to isolate it from ambient light. So some of its glow might be ambient light, some of it might be radiation. Kind of underwhelmed at the uranium glass's scintillation qualities. I do have access to a couple of other bits and pieces of uranium glass. I may try some sheets of acrylic, like I've got clear acrylic. Some of this apparently is sensitive to it. But I might actually just have to go and buy myself a proper scintillation crystal and see if that works. In any case, we'll leave this one here. It's an experiment setting up and just showing some of the behind the scenes stuff that goes into the research behind some of these videos. They're not necessarily always scripted, but sometimes I like to take a little bit of care, and thanks to the badgering in the comments, I'm taking a little bit more care than usual to try and get my facts right here. Anyway, we'll see you later. Hope it was an interesting one. Thumbs up and maybe subscribe if you want to be here when the 103 arrives. We'll see what happens.